Under a doctrine called younger abstention, if a state court matter involves certain important state interests, a federal court should decline to hear a federal lawsuit involving the same matter. But which important state interests trigger younger abstention? The United States Supreme Court addressed this issue in Sprint Communications v. Jacobs. Sprint Communications was a national telecommunications provider. Windstream Iowa Communications was a local telecommunications provider operating in Iowa. Iowa law allowed Windstream to charge Sprint fees for Internet-based calls placed by Sprint customers to Windstream customers. Sprint refused to pay these charges, claiming that federal law, specifically the Telecommunications Act of 1996, preempted state regulation of Internet-based calls. Because Sprint wasn't paying the disputed charges, Windstream threatened to block all calls involving Sprint customers. Sprint filed a complaint with the Iowa Utilities Board. Windstream withdrew its threat, and in response, Sprint withdrew its complaint. But the Utilities Board found that the disputed issue, whether federal law preempted state regulation of Internet-based calls, was likely to recur, and ruled on the issue anyway. The Utilities Board determined that federal law didn't preempt state regulation in this area, and that Windstream's fees were valid. Sprint paid the fees and filed 2 lawsuits, one in state court and one in federal court. Both lawsuits sought to overturn the Utilities Board's decision. The federal court dismissed the federal lawsuit, finding that younger abstention was appropriate to avoid federal interference with Iowa's important state interests in regulating its own utilities. Sprint appealed to the 8th Circuit. The 8th Circuit ruled that abstention was appropriate and stayed the federal lawsuit pending the resolution of the parallel state court lawsuit. The United States Supreme Court granted cert.